Welcome back. Today I'll be reacting to another video by abaandpreach. This one is called Using AI to Make Little Mermaid White Again. Sounds controversial.
You heard about this Little Mermaid? The Ariel?
That's black girl? That's Halle Berry. No, not Halle. Halle Berry. I'm stupid. That's Halle from Chloe and Halle, which is a female music group consisting of her and her sister, Chloe. She has good music.
We spoke about that a while ago. Okay. Yeah. Basically, if you aren't aware, Ariel, Little Mermaid, the live action, they're gonna have what was it? Chloe Berry. What's her name? She's a young
he mixed the names too, but he called her sister. She's not Chloe or Berry. Her name is Halle Bailey. That's funny.
Black woman, very good singer, talented, cool. She's gonna be Ariel. It's no longer gonna be a white redhead. So somebody posted this online. I thought it was very interesting. Artificial intelligence scientist, all right, has decided to fix the Little Mermaid and turn the woke actor.
Fix. You could tell that this person is probably on some white nationalist eugenics type shit. We need to fix the Little Mermaid. Bro, you taking Disney movies way too serious. Apologies, by the way. I'm gonna try not to move around too much in this jacket because it makes noise. Actually, let me just change into a t-shirt real quick. Here we go.
To a ginger white girl. Basically going from Chloe to a white girl with red hair. He says he can do the fix for the whole movie when it comes out in 24 hours. And then afterwards, he posts like an image. Look what he did.
Oh yeah, he used the term like woke cells. I can't stand people whose identity is politics. They see everything through like a racial or political or a gendered lens. It's like, dude, think outside of the box. Life isn't all about race or politics or gender. Life is more complex than that.
You see this? From this to this. This is using artificial intelligence, and they just...
Okay, but why do they do that?
Because a lot of people are mad that Ariel's now going to be a black woman. Okay. They want it to stay white. And then he says for Twitter, this is purely for educational purposes. Please do not misinterpret this in a racist way. I'm just amazed by high IQ friend who works with artificial intelligence and the stuff he...
Another good old dog whistle. This has to be like trolling. He can't be serious.
I want to show people his field of study. Okay, so there's two parts of this.
You didn't want to show people his field of study. You think that having a black woman replace a white cartoon somehow taints the entire movie. And so what do you do when something is tainted or defective? You clean, you fix, or you wash it. That's exactly what your friend attempts to do with his AI and like making Ariel white. It's just, it's creepy. It's creepy, dude. So what? They made Little Mermaid black. Dude, there are bigger things to worry about.
There's the first part, which is the change, is it racist? And the second part, which is our thoughts about the whole Ariel changing, which we kind of touched on first. So, okay. I don't think you could really separate the two. Someone told me this recently. I never really thought about it, but a bunch of gingers were hitting me up like, bruh, we don't get represented enough. I was like, what you talking about? It's like, gingers represented on TV and movies is not a thing. So Ariel was like the one person that we had. You disagree?
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I can be sympathetic to that argument.
I rack on gingers. You guys know me. There's no beautiful ginger people out there. Yada, yada, yada. Okay? Speaking of which, remember I said there's no beautiful ginger people out there? Well, it's a bunch of gingers disagreed.
Of course. They sent you nudes?
And all they did was reinforce my opinion.
They sent you pictures?
No, I looked at their pictures. They had a profile. I was like, yeah, I agree with what I said. And this guy had a video on us.
I agree with what I said.
I'm disheartened, angry, and quite frankly disappointed. This morning, I logged into youtube.com and decided to watch a video by my favorite comfort creators, abaandpreach. And in that video, Abba said this.
I'm gonna go with contestant 3. I don't really know my reason. I
haven't seen
did
this
number
video.
3 first.
I would have kept her.
There are no beautiful ginger people.
Oh, that's a tough one. That hurt my feelings, and I'm not even a redhead.
Trolling. That's the best troll ever. He's trolling.
There are no beautiful ginger people. Those words, they tore my heart in half.
Shout outs to you, my dude. That's funny as fuck. That was funny as hell.
Listen, as a mediocre average person, listen, I can relate. Don't worry, it's okay. All you gingers, come on, get a big group hug. At least I think you have a soul, which is all that really matters, because Jesus will give you salvation. As a born-again Christian, that's all I care about. Not
I
how
would
ugly
look
you are
like
on the
a
outside, but how
Dominican with
beautiful
that
you can be on
haircut.
the inside. That's it. So
Shout out to you, my dude.
on the topic of, so they were telling me about ginger representation, and it is an interesting thing. And my stance on this is the same one I had when we talked about this 3 years ago, which is I'm not mad at the idea of representation. I'm not mad at the idea that it's kind of cool to have Disney characters of all races, walks of life. I just don't like it when it's forced. And I think it's kind of corny to take fairy tales with one race and then just switch them when they have such a not historical, but there's already a history built with the fans and the viewers and how they view it. It's the same way, like, if I read Harry Potter and Harry Potter's always been described as a white dude with freckles and a fucking scar on his face and all this stuff, and you change the race for the live adaptation, I'm gonna look at you funny. That's it.
But I see where you're going with this. But at the end of the day, these corporations, it is their content. So what do you want them to do? Do you want them to wilt and cave into public scrutiny? Or do you want them to do their own thing? You know what I'm saying? You can't really advocate for a free market economics while at the same time trying to censor the creative freedom of a company. I don't necessarily find this topic too interesting, which probably begs the question, well, why did I click on it? Like, why did I decide to react to it? I think the title is more interesting than the actual like content of this video, but I'll continue to react.
I prefer it if you want to create this whole idea of representation to just create stories that have black bases as characters, right? Nobody got mad when they looked at the Black Panther stuff and they saw nothing but black folks.
Or Encanto. Everybody loved Encanto, and it taught people about Latin American culture, people, values, food. I think that was a great achievement as far as representation is concerned. Now, I do think there is a world where you can do both. But again, you get into dicey territory, because then you're going to have the white conservatives complaining. And then, you know, if I don't know, man, that's for them people to decide. I'm not working at Disney. I'm not working at Netflix. I'm not working there. So I don't consume content from those companies regularly. So it doesn't matter to me one way or another. But I do like that for my brothers. And if I ever have kids, that I can show my daughter Encanto, you know, that is really cool. Or I could show her Aladdin, because Aladdin, you know, she's not Latina, but she is a person of color, so I could show her Jasmine. I think this is great to have diversity in movies, but it doesn't always have to involve like replacing one race for another. I understand what he's saying.
They got mad when they did a bunch of other live action movies and had black people as leads, because that's how the stories were originally written. And it doesn't have to be stereotypically black either. They could be characters who happen to be black, and it's not because like they speak with Ebonics or whatever. They can just be regular too. So I'm not against that. I just don't like the retelling of old stories with like race swaps or gender swaps. It's like same thing with like superheroes all of a sudden changing genders. I find that shit kind of corny and forced.
Yeah,
so,
it is kind of.
And
my preference.
And people don't like that either.
Most people don't like that. My preference is tell great stories. Stories that
they did the thing with the Hulk. I learned a few weeks ago where they had I think they called the movie She-Hulk, and I saw the trailer, and it wasn't even about them making a woman the Hulk. It wasn't about that for me, and that's not what rubbed me the wrong way. It was that the content seemed so forced and corny. Like the jokes didn't stick. It didn't look well thought out. It looked like bland white feminism meets whatever the fuck they were trying to do.
And black, and that always, if that was at the center of it, and show that to the young generation so that they can see themselves in it. I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't know. It's maybe because the time we grew up in, we had Fresh Prince, we had the Jamie Foxx show, we had the Bill Cosby show. We had such an array of different accents and ways of talking and moving.
That's true, but we ain't have superheroes like that.
I got to see a little bit of ourselves represented in a lot of media in that regard, to some degree. I wouldn't have liked it if they redid Friends and stuck a bunch of black people.
Exactly.
That would have been corny to me.
It would have been corny if they did.
That shit probably would have been funny as hell. Stop lying.
They did that to anything. Like Full House was Full House.
But people love Friends back in the day.
And Full House was really all white people. You know, I don't want to see
Let me think of some. Sorry to cut y'all off. Let me think of some predominantly like white shows I used to watch back in the day. I love Buffy the Vampire. See, y'all are too young to know about Buffy. Y'all don't know shit about Buffy. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, another vampire show. But I was into like horror, action, superhero shows and movies. I used to watch Xena. And I like American Horror Story. I like The Office. I love those shows.
A Full House. I don't want to see a house full of
I
niggas.
wasn't in Full House.
Dude, that was foul, bro. That was foul.
Saved
bro.
by the Bell.
That was foul. That was foul.
Goddamn Power Rangers.
Uncle Ruckus rose from the grave for that bitch.
I just want to see original.
We don't want no house full of niggas.
Oh, man. I want to see original stories. I don't want to see a black James Bond. I saw The Harder They Fall with Lakeith Stanfield made by.
We don't. That's the thing about it. We don't need a black James Bond. We got Django. We got all kinds of movies. Damn, any movie with Denzel Washington, really any action movie with Denzel Washington.
Bullet. Dope.
It was about cowboys, right?
It was cowboys. It was a black cast. It was good people and bad people, both black, and it was an original story.
I really do think that the point that the Gingers made to me about ginger representation was facts.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was facts.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought about it because you don't really think about ginger people as being, like, different.
Yeah.
But they are.
They had Ariel and they had that princess from Brave. That's what they had.
What's Brave?
Brave is a princess.
Exactly. What's Brave?
Yeah, we don't watch movies like that anyways.
They probably don't know it either. A lot of these people don't know it. I'm just saying, if you think about it, if like genders feel that different, for them this was their thing and they got erased.
I can understand.
That was a fact. And so
I can understand that. But that's what I'm saying.
I'll say this. Do I believe that the scientist did this because he felt like gingers were being... No, I don't think so. I think people saw the race swap and they got mad. So could you see that as
some
maybe
racist shit.
you can certainly make the case, and I wouldn't fight you on it one way or the other.
I'm not fighting that.
But considering the fact that like ginger representation is a thing, and you guys just swapping these things, I can understand why some people are bothered by it. You can't make the argument like, oh well, it's just a fictionist character. Why would it matter? And then also say, well, black people feel represented. Obviously, it does matter. You can't have it both ways. You can't say it doesn't matter, it's a fictionist character, and then also justify the reason why the race swap happened to begin with. And also, let's not pretend, please, just for me and you, let's not pretend that when they did this casting, they didn't set themselves on, we're going to hire a black person for this specific. Obviously, they did. And they've been doing this a lot. This is a concerted movement.
No. It's not a... See, you taking it into conspiracy land. This is a concerted movement, and you can't say... No. Again, we can assume that they did, and I think that would be a fair assumption given the events that have transpired over the last few years and how that has shaped the public's consciousness and views on race to be more progressive and to be more inclusive. So it's a fair assumption to make, but... to say it's a concerted effort, I don't think it goes that deep, bro. Really don't.
I have a certain number. Here's something that you guys may not know. Nowadays, when they do sets for shows, this is for comedy. How about for comedy? They had something called, they had a comedy show here. I'm not going to say what it is. They asked me to do it. I said, no, I don't want to do it. This is like on a big festival. Come to find out, the lineup comes, and some of my white comic friends tell me, it's like, yeah, we weren't even allowed to apply. I'm like, why? They said, because we only wanted one white male for the whole 10 comic lineup, and we already booked them. Everyone else got to hit their quotas. These things do not happen on accident. This is not a...
Well, that's a pretty extreme example you just made, bro. And the issue with what he's doing right now is it gives fodder to a lot of white supremacists to believe that they are being erased and replaced with minority groups in different fields and different sectors of society. Nobody's telling white folks that they cannot apply for certain one, like that's discrimination. And if that actually happened the way he said it happened, I forgot what my thought was. Let's see if I could remember. Oh, okay, yeah. Abba should probably be careful with how he frames this because it can potentially give like fodder to white supremacists to believe these conspiracy theories. And I know he's not meaning to do this shit, but white people already feel on edge, which is why they're going out here doing all these mass shootings and shit. So Man, I'll be careful with this kind of rhetoric because diversity is not the same as like replacing an entire race of people, bro. It's just white people are not used to competing on the same playing field as everyone else. They're used to having the upper hand. They're used to our structures and institutions parting the Red Sea to make way for them. But now things are getting a little more equitable. They're getting more equal, and white folks got to work a little harder. Now we could have that conversation about how, like, is diversity going too far? These are conversations we could have. Who does diversity benefit? Who does affirmative action benefit? We could have these conversations. Think about it. You look at the people of color that get accepted into Harvard. They are not black and brown people that are coming straight from the gutter, say for instance, Gut Bucket, Mississippi, or a poor rural village in Mexico. Like, these are not the kinds of people of color who are being recruited to places like Harvard. They are, you know, the sons and daughters of big oil executives in Nigeria and wealthy politicians in Mexico. So I think there is something to be said about restructuring diversity so that it can work for the people who need it the most. And that brings me to another point, which is to say that not all black and brown people live in poverty, and not all people in poverty are black or brown. See what I'm saying? Just like not all women are oppressed, and not all oppressed people are women. See what I'm saying? There's some variation, and affirmative action doesn't go far enough because it rarely grants access to society's most weak and vulnerable members, specifically those who suffer from the worst forms of discrimination on the basis of, say, not only economic status, but the intersection of economic, racial, and gender. We got to complicate our idea of affirmative action and try to think about how to make it work in such a way where it helps people who need it the most, not necessarily upper class minorities who already have power and access, but people from the lowest rungs of society.
Meritocracy. It's like, it's a meritocracy by race.
No. See, now you going back to the dumb shit. And I love you to death, Abba, but you going back to the dumb shit. Like I just said, it's not a matter of meritocracy by race, bro. See, they like to split us up by races, but it's a matter of meritocracy by class, because them people who are gaining these auditions or gaining these interviews or gaining access to admissions are not poor and disenfranchised people of color.
Do you understand what I'm saying? The best black profile for this show. No. So just know this is something that people are doing consciously. And so that changes it. And the only reason they would do it consciously is because they understand what it means. It's not just this arbitrary thing that they're doing for fun. It means something.
Oh, yeah, no, hold on. Last thing I want to say is that, last thing I want to say is, like, it feels whenever they did all the reboots that they did and they do all the version that they do, and then after that they give the role to a black person. We did that. We said that already before, but we'll say it again. When they do that, it to me, after that, it feels like crumbs.
Who's to say that they are given these roles? Have you even seen the movie? I haven't, so I'm not going to comment on whether they gave her that role or whether she earned it. So I think it's also important to exercise humility, because another trope that we don't want to peddle is this notion that when a person of color does achieve something great, like being in a fucking Disney movie, that they got that opportunity as a handout, because we just don't know. And even if they did, how can we say that's representative of an entire plot or an entire movement or an entire conspiracy? We can't.
It feels like crumbs. Like we're getting the played out leftover of something that was used and abused, and then after that we get our part. Whereas whenever you get an original story, we get the full meal.
Yes. I also say this.
Yeah, but you also don't have to have white people at the top of the social hierarchy in order to get the full meal and in order to see meritocracy at work.
I don't just feel this way about race. I remember there was specific types of French movies that were made and then were brought to America and recasted with American accents.
Yeah.
Lost all the societal context that makes the humor and the Taxi's one. What was the one with Kevin Hart and the guy in the wheelchair? And there was Well, the original one's amazing. The American version was disgusting.
Horrible.
But the reason why they make these casting changes is because they think this is what's going to work with the... But they lose all the artistry. They lose the heart of what the writer did when they created the whole thing.
And with that movie, they didn't even change the gender.
No.
They didn't change the race.
They just changed the...
But they just changed the context, and they changed... It lost all its appeal.
Right, and art is already a difficult thing to make work perfectly. When you start only thinking about the commercial aspect, let's hire this actor because they've got a following on Twitter. Let's get this person because they're TikTok famous. You're killing the art. You're killing it.
No, I don't know about it. That's dramatic, but I agree. It does take away from the artistry and from that being prioritized. I believe he's correct about that. When you prioritize identity over art, even though both things don't exist mutually exclusive, I agree with him. But hey, my laptop is gonna die and I don't know where the charger is, so if y'all enjoyed this video, please comment, like, and subscribe. I will see y'all next time. Oh, and also let me know in the comments if you agree with me, disagree with me. It's a complicated issue, so let me know what you think. All right, peace.